Hello, and welcome to i-nastava. Today's English class is for the 4th year. The topic is, Do I Understand What I Read? My name is Stephanie Kate Lukač, and I'll be your teacher for the day. By the end of the class, you will have discussed your favorite book. Also, you will have summarized an article. For the class, you'll need your notebook, something to write with, a device with internet connection, and if possible, a QR code scanner. Feel free to pause the video anytime you need. Which skills do you think are necessary for good reading comprehension? Take a moment to brainstorm your ideas. Here are some examples of something that you might have. For example, getting the main idea, the gist of what you're reading. Identification, cause and effect, what's happening because of or due to one or more actions. Facts and opinions, what is true in contrast with what you feel is true. Making inferences or deductions based on what you're reading. It's not explicitly stated, but you can come to a conclusion based on what you're reading. Sequences. Are you able to place the events in the order that they happen, even when some stories might jump back and forth in time, for example? Sometimes you might read about something that is comparing or contrasting throughout. Perhaps while you're reading, you compare or contrast the content with your personal life. These are some of the main reading comprehension skills. There are so many that we could go on and on about, but there's so little time. Have you thought about the way you read and comprehend what you've read? Or are you the type to just read through in order to get it over with, just to be able to say you've read it? For example, with the infamous book reports. How can I improve, you ask? Well, one way is by opening the link or scanning the QR code. So you've got the link KWL Read. This will take you to a video, but before you do, please copy the questions that you have on the screen. How does she compare exercise to reading? What does KWL stand for? What are the advantages to using the KWL method? So as you watch, take notes on answering these questions. So to check over your answers, we have the first question. How does she compare exercise to reading? With both, she said there's time to warm up. Then with exercise in the middle, here on the right side, you've got reading. So in the middle, you're doing the main, well, exercise. Reading is exercising your brain, right? And for the last period of cooling down. KWL stands for know, want to know, and learned. So first you need to take notes before you read your previous knowledge, what you know beforehand. In the W, the want to know. So again, this part should come before reading. Your desired knowledge, the things that you want to know. And for the last part, while you're reading, the learned part, or the acquired knowledge, what you learned while or after you've read the book, or article, or whatever it might be. So the main advantages that she was discussing in the video about using the KWL method was that it helps with your memory, it makes reading easier, and it saves time in the end because you don't need to reread over and over again to get the main point of what the person or whoever was trying to say. With this link on the left, you've got an article on reading strategies, the Indeed link. It'd probably be easier to use the QR code here, but it's up to you. So once you've gone through reading with the bit.ly 7R Comp S link on the right or the QR code below it, you have a matching activity. So you need to grab the strategies and match them with the activities. I should say, well, opposite. You need to grab the activities and match them to the strategies. Good luck. Your pen friend has sent you a video describing the last book that he or she has recently read. He or she is asking you for your recommendation on what to read. Choose a book and describe it. Give reasons for your choice as well. In the end, I'd like you to make a 2-minute recording. Before pausing the video, please take a look at the next slide at the rubric so you know what to watch out for. Before handing your recording in to your teacher, please go over the rubric. So you want to pay attention to accuracy, vocabulary, vocalization and clarity, as well as duration. Have you ever been misinformed or disinformed? Disinformation may come to a bit of news to you, but we'll go over the differences. So most of you have come across, or I should say maybe even all of you, have come across some type of misinformation. So both of these terms are about false information, but the main difference is that with misinformation, the people don't mean to mislead you. They actually believe it's true for the most part and most commonly. So usually it's shared among family and friends. Now, disinformation usually comes from different sources, but again, as I had mentioned, it is false information again, but it's intentionally shared and it's more for like the public all over. So usually it's not coming from your family and friends, but sometimes it might if the sharing has kind of gone a long way. But the goal is different, as you can see. Which brings us to the topic of fake news. How well do you know fake news? By clicking on the link, fake Q3, or using the QR code, it'll take you to a quiz. It's got 3 parts. It's not going to take too long for you to do, but I think it will be interesting for you to find out the results about you personally. Are you as good as sniffing out the fake news as you think you might be? So the main question to ask about fake news is it real? I mean, that's the most important, the number one thing. Is it clickbait? Is it a half-truth? Is it perhaps a false story? Where does the source come from? Where can you fact check whether this news is real or fake? This is just some of the stuff that you're going to see in a bit in the next part of the task and the next article. And here we have an article about how you can find out news, whether they're fake or they're real. So by using the bit.ly link or using the QR code scanner, it'll take you to an article which gives you information about finding out about fake news and how you can tell whether they're fake news, and you'll find out this various terminology that you had just seen a little bit before, if you haven't heard of or seen it yet. So once you've opened up the article, you'll need to take notes, because in the end, I'd like you to summarize the information from this article and make this information into an infographic. Before you pause the video, or, well, kind of fast forward to the end, you'll see a rubric about what to watch out for again before you hand it in to your teacher. So before you hand it in, check how you've summarized the article. Also, check it over for accuracy. Clarity is another important part, and your vocabulary as well. And give a little bit of thought to the design as well. Is it visually appealing? Are you being creative? Have fun with that. I hope you found that infographic not only, well, enjoyable to do, but that you learned something new at the same time. So for the end, I'd like you to name 2 reading strategies that you could personally use, 1 thing about fake news that you've learned, and 1 thing about fake news that you would like to know more about. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and remember to stay safe and stay healthy. Take care of yourself.